Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I, for the most part, said that the DragonAge stuff is over, but this came across my newsfeed, and I couldn't. With the stupidity just in this freaking title alone, there was no way that I couldn't just not say anything. I almost did it on Wednesday, but I wanted to finish up my Kingdom Come Deliverance stuff, so I saved this. And, you know, I thought by now I wouldn't still be as irritated by it. It's been over 24 hours, and I usually lose my drive after a few minutes in terms of how angry I get when I see something. But no, I pulled it up, I looked at it, and it still made me angry. So here we are. And I guess angry is the wrong word. Frustrated, sick, annoyed, something in that range right there. Feel free to provide various other words you could possibly use for the way this makes me feel in the comments. But basically, the EA CEO, Andrew Wilson, has decided that the financial failure of DragonAge the Veilguard was due to it failing to resonate with a broad enough audience. I don't know who Andrew Wilson is, but I'm feeling like he probably doesn't play video games or understand video games, because realistically, the problem with DragonAge is that it tried to capture too big an audience. It tried to do something, well, not for everyone, but it tried to do something for an audience that was never going to play this game. The audience that they wanted for this game was not there. The article mentions that BioWare staff believe it was a miracle that DragonAge the Veilguard released a complete game after EA forced live service into it and then reversed course. Granted, I truly believe that it is easy to identify the live service in the game. I don't believe in any way they really pulled it out. Just looking at the actual battle style, a lot of the engagement zones. Sure, they do some of that in single player games today, but that's partly because they are copying the live service MMO style games, and I hate it. I genuinely hate it. I much rather have something that reminds me less of playing Final Fantasy XIV or EverQuest 2 or Elder Scrolls Online. I hate that kind of area of effect pre-signaling stuff. It just bothers me. However, Wilson goes on to say in an investor-focused financial call that the role-playing games need to have shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives. Well, it didn't have a high-quality narrative. What the fuck does he mean by shared feature? Oh, sorry, I just read the next paragraph because I have avoided reading this just because I know I react better in the moment. In order to break out beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category. This guy has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He continues, DragonAge had a high-quality launch and was well reviewed by critics and those who played. However, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience in this highly competitive market. If by broad enough audience you mean it didn't resonate with actual gamers, for the most part, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I'm not seeing in here exactly what it means by shared world features. Does that mean multiplayer in some way or live service in some way? Now, for me, the immediate thing that destroyed DragonAge the Veilguard, well, other than the art style and the complete change of tonal gameplay and the complete ignoring of previous game choices and basically everything that made it a DragonAge game, the fact that they ignored all of that is really what the problem was. But, you know, sure, maybe you could have added some, I can't think of anything. But when you say shared world features and deeper engagement, those are the types of things I think about, not some kind of live service structure. The people at EA seem to think that DragonAge had a good story. These people have become so completely brainwashed that they are actually believing the hype that they buy from the journalists, which is crazy. Maybe the CEO doesn't know they do that, but that's crazy. Of course he knows they do that. That the whole thing is a major headache with how they think they can. This is another example of the people higher up in a large studio not even understanding the IP. You bought a studio and you tried to get it to do something that wasn't going to work for the game, the players cried out. I remember the day I read the article that said it was no longer going to be an MMO in Sighing in Relief. I was standing in Michael's buying some kind of arts and crafts bullshit because I wanted to, I don't remember exactly what I was trying to make at that point in time. I was actually probably buying some paints so I could paint a box or something. But I remember standing in Michael's looking at it and reading and thinking, oh, thank God they're not going to do a live service. Hopefully this will still be good. And that was, back in 2019 or some bullshit? And now they're saying the problem is we didn't include enough fake playthrough loops to keep people coming back for more, that we didn't have some kind of way to grind for some skins on the characters. What they do, they fundamentally do not understand why people play a DragonAge game. They are too used to developing their live service games that people play these things for, and they forget that other types of games and gamers exist. They think that you can get the type of gamer that would play DragonAge, what DragonAge is supposed to be, and have and build something like Apex that they would play. And no, not really, because the two players are entirely different. They're two entirely different types of players. And it is insane that they in any way think that you could just randomly shove those players together. The frustration it makes me feel still, I mean, most of the time I feel nothing about DragonAge anymore just because I recognize that it's dead and it's moved on. But then I read something like this and realize part of the reason it's dead is because everybody from the bottom to the top had no idea what they were building. And anymore, it looks like they have entirely forgotten the actual art behind creating an in-depth RPG. I also believe that part of the reason Kingdom Come Deliverance is having so many problems is because they changed the type of game they were supposed to be. They went from a narrow type narrative, the type of RPG where you play a pre-established character who has his own thoughts and you kind of just play his story with maybe making minor choices that influence his life, but you don't actually make choices that change the character himself, and tried to turn it into a more varied RPG. Now, you can discuss the various reasons behind that. I'm not in the mood to get into it. I just know that when you do that when you make such a sudden tonal shift, you're going to run into problems. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 doesn't seem to be experiencing the same issue that DragonAge did, mostly because it's a different type of game. There was only one game in the series. People can and do deal with large shifts in a game. The immediate difference being that there wasn't 3 other games that kind of established some of these habits that you would expect to see in a DragonAge game. The most important thing it left out was the continuity. The fact that you had no way of seeing your choices and how they affected the game now from the game's past. They didn't even put it in any goddamn codexes, which would have been the easiest thing for them to do. Maybe that's a large portion of the reason why backlogs are becoming more valuable to people, because there are games people like that they're just not making anymore because they don't think that they can make the money off of them, forgetting that they did once. They seem to believe that with their ballooning budgets, which they should just get under control. It's honestly sounding more and more like government, but yeah, sure, let's get big, spend all this money that we don't actually have, except they do kind of have it, and then hope we make it back when we finally sell the product. Except in order to sell the product and make enough to make it back, you have to sell it to an insanely large audience, and you're never going to make it back. They have completely forgotten, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the current events going on today actually play into this, with the fact that they have these ballooning budgets and not making money back on their games because they're not selling enough games to make the money back on the budgets, but still somehow managing to come out with these ridiculous games that nobody really wants. I wouldn't be surprised if the two things are connected. We've already seen some possible hints that they are, with the USAID and Feminist Frequency, for example, getting $200 and something thousand. Plus Politico getting money to further the Gamergate narrative that it's all about sexism and whatever bullshit, or basically to discredit the Gamergate narrative, where it was all about integrity in journalism and not about women or people or whatever. But of course they had to shift that. But that's but now that well should hopefully be drying up, which means they have to work with the money they have. And that means they have to cut back. I am more than willing to grant a bit of grace for a variety of things in gaming. But when it comes down to it, unless these people decide to actually act as a real business instead of a government subsidiary, which is honestly where they are about now, then they're not going to make games people want. They're not going to make money from the people. They might still continue to take money from various sources. Maybe it's BlackRock, maybe it's Vanguard, maybe it is the actual government. Unless we get to the financials, we'll never know, but it's probably a combination of all three. Or maybe it's the Chinese. But as long as they're getting fed this money and they don't have to bear the burden of their mistakes, things won't change. That is why I am 100% behind just letting them die. AAA gaming, as far as I'm concerned for the most part, is dead. Large studio gaming is mostly dead. I'm sure that a couple more will come out that are good. I'm mostly looking forward to, as I've said in the past, AA studio games. I am still really pumped for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. That's going to be a lot of fun for me. And I'm sure I'll find other games to be excited about too. Or I'll play old games. One of the two. It's not too hard to find something to play if you really want to. But it's just another example of how out of touch these large studios are. Yeah, you can complain about the woke stuff. The woke stuff is part of it. It is. But it's also the fact they're just entirely out of touch with their audience. And they have no desire to get back in touch with their audience because they feel like they don't have to. They seem to be under this weird delusion that somewhere out there's just this huge, broad audience that's looking for whatever crap they shovel at them. And that's not true, especially not when people are tight on money, because it's a luxury product. It's not something you need in life. If you have to pay for other things first, you're going to. And until the economy continues to improve, people are not going to be willing to take chances on the games that they play. And at this point, they just don't want to play crap. Anytime you're playing a game, not only are you paying for the game itself, but more importantly, you're investing your time, which is one of your most important assets, as I've said before. But we've reached a point where they just can't continue to milk things anymore. Gamers have other things to do. Money needs to go other places. Kids don't really have jobs anymore, so they're not really paying for as many of their own games anymore, so they have to convince their parents it'll be worth it. You know, there's so much going on, and they're not looking at the right things. They're just not. But, you know, instead of going off about this any longer, I have some puppy pictures for you. So first we have Cassie, or Cassandra. She's looking awfully cute. You can see Grace's head right here underneath her. I had my mom hold them so I could get pictures of their faces. Then you have the absolutely adorable Violet. Her face is so sweet. She is so adorable. I don't even know. I mean, sometimes I just look at her and my heart melts. She is just so cute. And there's little Betty's face. She is also adorable. She's such a sweetie. She's much shyer than the rest, much more quiet. But she is just so cute. I do want to thank everyone who is a member here on my channel. I have to thank DX Machina NZ, Emperor Doomsday, Schmitted, Almolgo, Narrator 45, Felix, Stormborn, Corinne Ponder, Ben Henniger, and Hollywood Guy. Thank you guys so much for being members here on the channel. I really appreciate it. I also have to thank Silver over on Ko-Fi for being kind enough to donate there. If you want to avoid giving YouTube any money, you can definitely always head over there. The link is down in the description, along with the link to become a member here on the channel, should you prefer. There are a few people who have been kind enough to send me gifts through Throne. That is also in the description, if that is something you would be interested in. However, I just have to thank everybody in general. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me. As I've already said, your time is your most valuable commodity, and I am extremely grateful you spend any of it here with me. That said, what do you think of the little rant? I want to hear your thoughts, and I look forward to reading them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.